Chapter 5. The River. This is what a dead village smells like, I think. We drive through slowly. There are black birds in the sky here, too. They know that there are bodies here. They want to eat the bodies. Once, one of our cows died in the night. In the morning, these birds came and started to eat the cow. They can smell it. The village smells worse than a dead cow. Perhaps all my country smells like this now. The men who do these things must be very bad. I can see the river through the trees. We are driving along by the river. I like the river. It's a very big river, and it goes very fast. I often walked along it with my brother. He said that you can't swim in it, and if you fall in the river, in 2 hours you'll be in another country. He told me not to forget that. I could see how fast it was. I put a piece of wood in the river once, and whoosh, it was gone. I ran along the side of the river, but the piece of wood was faster than me. It was always quiet near the river. There were trees which looked as if they were talking to the water. The river was a lot of different colours. When it rained, the river was green and grey and silver, like the fish that swam in it. On sunny days, the river had lots of little gold bits in it. They danced on top of the water as if they were happy that it was a sunny day. Last month, my father and I walked along the river. There was a farmer he wanted to see in another village, and he said that because it was the school holidays, I could go with him. I was very happy. I liked going for walks with my father. My father often talked to me on these walks. He told me what he was thinking. "It's too dry," he said, or "It's too wet." It was nearly always too dry or too wet. There was always too much rain or not enough rain. When there was too much rain, there were lots of weeds in the fields. My father told me that weeds were green plants that were in the wrong place. They made my father angry. He hated the weeds, and I hated the weeds because it was my job to go into the fields after school and pull them out of the ground. When there was not enough rain, the fields went yellow and then brown, and the ground was hard like the walls of our house. Then all the plants died. My father and I walked along the river to a place where there were lots of stones. "There was a farm here once," said my father. "What happened?" I asked him. "The people from across the river came," my father told me. "They took all the animals and then made a big fire, and now there's nothing, just stones and weeds." "What about the people?" I asked my father. He didn't tell me. I know now why he didn't tell me. It was because the people on that other farm were dead. My father didn't want me to know things like that. I can understand that now, because I know what happens when the men come. "There's the river," I say to Chris, as we see it again through the trees. "It looks different here. It's the same river as the river near my village, but it's not the same." I think of my mother's face after the men came. It was the same, but not the same. I don't want to think about that. "Do you know any stories?" I asked Chris. "Oh yes, lots of stories," he says. "What's your favourite story?" I ask him. "It's about some animals who live near a river," he tells me. "I'll tell you the story. It begins with a little black mole. The mole lives under the ground." "That's good," I say. "You're safe under the ground." Chris tells me the story. It's about a toad who lives in a big house. One day when he's out, bad animals come into his house and take it away from him. Do the soldiers with blue hats come and help the toad? I ask Chris. No, I don't think so, says Chris. I think that the rat and the mole tell the bad animals to go away. Do they go away? I ask him. Yes, he says. If the soldiers with blue hats ask the bad men to go away, will they go away? I ask. I don't know, Jojo, says Chris. I'll tell you another story, he says. He tells me about his house in England. He lives in a town called Oxford, where there's a big university, and everyone rides bicycles. Can I come and live with you in Oxford? I ask him. No, says Chris. I'm sorry, Jojo, but I'm not at home very often. I'm always travelling. I never stay anywhere for very long. Today I'm here, but tomorrow I don't know where I'll be. I'll just be somewhere looking for new stories. But you said that your newspaper wanted my story, I say. They do, says Chris. They'll love your story, but they want new and different stories every day. I thought you were my friend, I say. I don't want Chris to go. I am, he says, and I'll write to you and I'll come and see you again, and I'll tell you more stories. But I don't want to listen to his stories anymore. I can see lights a long way away, and I can hear the guns. I'm afraid again. Don't be afraid, says Chris. The fighting is a long way from here now. You're safe with us. The soldiers are just behind us. I look around and see the lorry with the soldiers behind us. It's night now, and I'm very tired. The road is very dark. It goes ahead of us like a river through the trees. Like a dark river.